The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, here to give you a little bit of a Razorback basketball fix as we get ready to head into the weekend. Today's episode is presented by our friends over at Razorbacks Apparel. Just go to Razorbacks.com and use code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your first purchase today. Yeah, this is one of those rare days where I'm a little bit worn out going into this. Hosted Inside Arkansas Live on Thursday with John out and about doing some business dealings, wheeling and dealing, smiling and dialing. We appreciate that. I had a full interview with Aaron Torres. I know a lot of you guys, if you listen to this show, you know who AT is and his podcast. If you haven't seen that already, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. We talked a lot of John Calipari and what it's been like covering him and, the prospects for this Razorback basketball team going into next season. We talked a little football as well. It's, I think it's something that will fill your hearts as Razorback fans and simultaneously piss off Big Blue Nation. So give it a listen. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, man, we did that. The members only stream on YouTube that we've been doing, which is always a blast. It gets a little bit off the rails, but I'm a talker. You have to be in this business, but kind of putting the vocal cords to the test a little bit. Not going to lie. Which, by the way, did you guys all see the pic of John Calipari and Sam Pittman? In fact, I've got it here on the little graphic, the rotating graphic, but let me pull it up because we need to talk about this for a minute. This makes me happy. Look at these guys, man. I mean, just the two head hogs looking slim and trim. First of all, they look great. Cal he's definitely lost weight since he got to Arkansas. And I think a lot of people nationally and, from Kentucky and elsewhere have said, man, yeah, he looks like he's in good shape, feeling good. But look at Coach Pitt, man. Good on him. You can just tell that he's feeling better. That hip, there is no doubt about it. Say what you want about him as a coach, whatever. He was going through hell last year with that hip bothering him. Got the surgery. The recovery was probably longer than he wanted to be. He had to coach a bunch of spring ball on the golf cart. He didn't want to do that. But look at him now. Man, he looks like he's trimmed down too. Big smile on his face. It's just good to see. It kind of warms my heart a little bit. It's like, for whatever reason, most all of my favorite photos so far of John Calipari have been from other sporting events, I guess you could say. Like, do you remember when he threw the first pitch out at Baum at the baseball game right after he got the job? That was awesome. Some great stuff there. And by the way, it was a great pitch. He threw a strike. Do you remember when he was throwing the football around at football practice last season? That was a great pick. We use it on our thumbnails all the time. We still do, in fact. He was rocking the casual white tee with Miss Ellen at the Yankees game last week. That was electric. Now here he is just rubbing elbows with the pit boss, wearing his stunner shades out there. Maybe they were checking out the Goodyear blimp. Maybe they're looking at Talon Green. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at Hunter Yurachek with a big smile on their face. You tell me, but this is good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I like it. I had to pull that up. It made me smile. Hopefully it makes you smile too. Good to see those guys in preseason form of happiness before all the stress hits with the actual year and the games to be played. I want to see what you guys think about something. If you agree with something that's been said here. And I'm going to give my take as well. ESPN, they updated their way too early top 25 rankings, which, I mean, it's pointless, right? Because nobody's roster has significantly changed in like a month. So not a whole lot of moving and shaking in this thing. Arkansas still at number 11 in that poll by Jeff Borzello for what it's worth. And that's fair. It's not a bad place to be, honestly. But what they do change, even if the rankings or the rosters don't change that much, is the little excerpt that they do on each one of the teams when they do their updates. So, for example, the last time they did this, it was like they had their rankings and projected starters, and it was like who's the most important player or the breakout star or something like that for each team. And they gave Darius Acuff some really good pub. We pulled it up and read it at the time. The latest update here, what they've done for the excerpts is every team's most important non-conference game. Interesting. So I ask you, what is Arkansas's most important non-conference game going into next season? I think that we have all the heavy hitters here already lined up. Maybe they add another one that's off my radar. I don't know, but I think for the most part, the rest of these are going to be bye games. But for Arkansas, Jeff Borzello has Arkansas's most important non-conference game listed as Louisville in the ACC SEC Challenge. Okay. How do you feel about that? Like you have options, right? I mean, you play Duke on Thanksgiving Day in Chicago. You've got Texas Tech. They're in Dallas in mid-December. You're playing against Houston at Barclays Center right before Christmas. True road game at Michigan State. So there's probably a number of different ways that you could look at this to decide what's most important. I don't know that there's necessarily a wrong answer. For example, one could argue that winning a true road game in East Lansing would carry the most weight net-wise or whatever, or that beating a name like Duke or a team that was just in the finals last year, like Houston, in a marquee neutral site game in a big arena would bring more national buzz. Razorback fans might say, hey, getting your revenge against Texas Tech after what happened in the Sweet 16, that's the most important thing. Right that wrong. So I think I would hear any argument here, but I put some thought into this, and I think that I actually tend to agree with Borzello here on Louisville being the most important. Doesn't have to be the most enticing, doesn't have to be the best, whatever. But the reason why I feel that way is because this is the game that's at home in Fayetteville. So it just naturally, you're going to have 20,000 Razorback fans in there in Bud Walton. It's your cleanest opportunity at a massive, massive resume win. And also the only one that could even halfway be looked at in like a poor or negative light if you did lose. So Arkansas is going to take some L's, probably. I mean, hell, I hope they don't, but I would imagine they'll probably lose at least one of these games, throughout the course of the non-conference slate. No big deal. These are all going to be marquee types of matchups. You got a true road game that's going to be a beast. You got heavy hitters that you're playing on neutral sites, whatever. You drop a game here and there, people aren't going to frown upon you too much for that. That's part of the deal, man. The Louisville game, they're probably going to be projected top 10 right there in that same range as you. And coming into it, that's going to be one of, if not the top marquee game in the SEC ACC challenge, but it's in your own building. So if you lose that one, you might get chirped a little bit for it. So what do you guys think Arkansas's most important non-conference game is? For what it's worth, because they also have the other 24 teams listed in there, I just scrolled to kind of see. Borzello has Houston, and they're at number 3, by the way. Their most important non-conference game listed as the Arkansas game. They're in Brooklyn. Okay, I love that, man. Let's go. Louisville's, which, he's got Louisville being Arkansas's most important, but he has Louisville's most important non-con game being Kentucky. And that's accurate. It's fair. Huge rivalry. Sure. I don't have a problem with that. And if they lose to Kentucky, Pat Kelsey's going to be getting heated up with the teams that he has this year. If they come to Arkansas and play in Fayetteville at Bud Walton and they get their asses kicked, I don't think people are going to be on his case too much about that. So it makes sense. It doesn't always go both ways. Texas Tech, most important non-conference game, he actually has listed as Duke, who, interestingly enough, they're playing at Madison Square Garden the same night that Arkansas and Houston are playing at Barclays Center over in Brooklyn. So that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that was the case. Duke's most important non-con game, this I disagree with wholeheartedly. I'm not saying that it has to be Arkansas. Might be. You think about the freshman star power in that game, Thanksgiving, CBS in Chicago. I mean, that's a spotlight type of game, but it sure as hell ain't Texas on November the 4th like they have in this article. I know why they did it. They listed it because it's going to be the opener for them. It's the first game of the post-Cooper Flag era and the Cam Boozer era. All right, fine. But, come on, man. Come on now. Arkansas Duke, from an enticement standpoint, absolutely. Most important? How can your opener be your most important game? You play 31 of them. I don't know. Anyway, and then Michigan State, it just stinks. We don't know because after losing their top transfer to an injury this summer, which that happened to them, by the way, they actually were one of the teams that did move. They dropped out of the top 25. They were ranked, and you look at it now, and after their top 25, North Carolina is his 25th team. Then they had the next in line. So like the next 5, he's got San Diego State, Ohio State, Texas, Oregon, and then Michigan State. So he did drop them. Still a projected tournament team very safely. That's going to be a hell of a challenge on the road. Big resume game. But it is a big blow to Tom Izzo's teams there, right before well before the season even starts. So, is what it is. Tough scenes. Hopefully Arkansas can stay healthy this season. Hey, today's episode of the Pot at the Palace is presented by our friends at BetSaracen. It's Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. Sign up today with promo code BOOSTED. You'll get 100% profit boost to use on a bet of your choosing. The betting there, it must be odds of plus 5,000 or shorter. So, plus 3,000, plus 1,500, plus 100, whatever, you name it. Any type of bet goes here. Pre-match, in play, single, parlays, any sport, any league, any event. Doesn't have to be just Razorbacks or anything like that. This is for new players, new bettors only, by the way. So if you're already on the hook there, sorry about you. And then it's a $25 max wager. But check it out. Just use the code BOOSTED. That's BOOSTED. You get that 100% profit boost on the app today. Get to winning big money this season by downloading BetSaracen on your iPhone or your Android device. You can also bet online at BetSaracen.com. It's BetSaracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. Yeah, it's about time for me to replenish the old BetSaracen account. I don't do Major League Baseball. It's just too much of a crapshoot for me. I'll do a little bit of NFL. I'll dabble here and there. But college football, college hoops, NBA, I'm big on there. And then UFC and boxing, do quite a bit of that. That's Andrew Ellis's fault, but whatever. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit more schedule stuff while we were sort of on it there. Does it surprise anyone listening here that John Calipari and the Razorbacks are going to be must-see TV? It shouldn't. If it does, it shouldn't. Shortly after, and it's funny because we were just talking about the most important non-conference games and all these big spotlight opportunities Arkansas has, but shortly after the SEC schedule got dropped on Wednesday, CBS Sports put out it was their top 5 games to watch in the SEC next season. Well, I mean, listen, if you can't guess who number 1 is, I just don't know what to tell you. Like, it's Arkansas, Kentucky. Spoiler alert. At Bud Walton Arena, January 31st. Yeah, of course. This is a no-brainer. But for me, the biggest thing here is that we keep it that way up until the game. It needs to be the most anticipated game going into the season, and it needs to be the most anticipated game when it happens, because it still wound up being a huge, big-time story anyway last year. And, of course, Arkansas wound up winning that game, but some of the shine was taken off of it because of the circumstances. I mean, people sort of forget. We don't, because we lived it. But if you're an outsider and you look at, how the full season played out with both of these teams, they made the Sweet 16, good years, whatever. The casual fans probably like, oh man, that game must have been a banger. Yeah, I get it. Problem was Arkansas stunk at the time. They walked into Rupp Arena 1-6, really, really scuffling. And that did take a little bit of the allure off of it. Is that why they didn't get College Game Day and went to Carolina Duke? And Carolina was struggling too, but if it was a top 10 matchup or something between these two teams, would that have made a difference? I don't know. I think it actually made the loss sting a little bit more for Kentucky. But this time around, I want all the pomp and circumstance, man, all of it. This should be a ranked matchup. Hell, it should be a top 15 type of matchup between these two teams. We talked yesterday when we were breaking down Arkansas' schedule. There's zero reason, zero excuse whatsoever, even though this is just what Arkansas does, for them to not have a winning SEC record going into that night. And I know you got a tough start. You got Tennessee at home. That's not going to be easy. You got the road swing at Ole Miss and at Auburn. But then those 5 games leading up to that Kentucky game, favorable. Like, you should be able to put yourself in a pretty good spot, establish yourself in the SEC race. All those things should happen this year if you are what people think you are and you stay healthy. Now, looking at Kentucky, of course, they've got a pretty tough non-conference schedule too. They play Louisville. They also play Michigan State, I think, on a neutral. They got North Carolina, Gonzaga, Indiana, St. John. So some good games in there, no doubt. Their SEC slate, I was looking at it, I think it's a little bit tougher than Arkansas's, in my opinion, starting off. They're at Alabama to open things up. I think that is a more difficult game than having Tennessee coming in your own building. They get Missouri at home, Mississippi State at home, at LSU. Okay, they got to go to Tennessee, Texas at home, Ole Miss at home, and they're at Vanderbilt, where I'm pretty sure they lost at Vandy last year. They split with them. Yeah, I think it was there that they lost that game. So, not going to be easy for them. Back to the story here, though. Yeah, Arkansas, Kentucky is going to be the top game on the slate for sure. It is not a surprise to anyone. It's up to the two teams to kind of do their part here and ensure that, like we were talking about a minute ago, College Game Day needs to be there. You need all the craziness that comes along with it, making an epic experience for everyone. They're going to be camping out. Should be just a special day in Fable. I'm really looking forward to it. Need to make sure that winds up being the case. The number 2 game of the top 5 must-sees in the SEC is Alabama at Florida. I got to be honest here. That doesn't get me too excited. It's a great matchup basketball-wise, but not much by way of storylines there. And it's also on the same day as Arkansas, Kentucky. Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm necessarily agreeing with that one. Number 3 is Alabama at Auburn. Now, this is a good pick. Probably should have been number 2, in my opinion. Heated rivals. These games were super spicy last year. Both teams are going to be good again. This is on February 7th. I think it's absolutely worthy to be on the list. Number 4 is Kentucky at Florida. I would probably put this higher than Bama at Florida. Apparently last year was the first time in over 60 years or something that Kentucky and Florida didn't play twice in a season. Didn't do a home and home. I didn't even realize this was a thing, but they've kind of got it as one of their rivalry games, the SEC. I don't know, I wasn't aware of that. So there you have it. Number 5, though, and I was maybe a little bit surprised to see this, but I love it. Tennessee at Arkansas. The headliner of opening weekend right there in Fayetteville. And I think it makes sense to have something from opening day on here. So, I think the Vols and the Hogs, that's a great matchup really on any day. But the competition here, if you want to pick one from opening weekend, Auburn at Georgia, nah. Florida at Missouri, don't think so. Vandy at South Carolina, no. LSU at Texas A&M, Mississippi State at Texas, Ole Miss at Oklahoma. I cannot think about an SEC game that people care less about. Kentucky at Bama, that is a good one for sure. But yeah, I like Tennessee at Arkansas here, and give me that. Works for me. I like it. How close are we to having a full, complete schedule for the Razorbacks? We're getting there. Still work to be done. The 18 SEC games are set. The season opener will be against Southern on November 3rd. November 11th against UCA in Fayetteville. All those games that we talked about just a minute ago. Thanksgiving Day, against Duke and Chicago. December 3rd at Bud Walton against Louisville, the ACC-SEC game. December 13th in Dallas against Texas Tech. December 20th against Houston at Barclays Center. And right between, sandwiched in between those, you got Queens coming into Fayetteville on December 16th. Now, yes, we know that Arkansas is playing at Michigan State. As far as I can tell, an official date has not been set for that just yet. So there's that. We know that Arkansas is going to get a couple home games as part of one of those MTEs, a multi-team events. We just don't know who or when yet. I'm fairly certain those are going to be in November. So really, there are 5 games left to be scheduled, and you just need a date assigned for the trip to go up there and play Tom Izzo and Sparty. So that's kind of where things are at there. And the Pot the Palace is also brought to you today by our friends over at Basis Health. We know they're changing the way healthcare is delivered with those mobile medical visits. If you're sick, under the weather, you got a fever, you got a cough, you got the flu, throwing up, whatever it might be, do you really feel like you need to get into a car and drive across town just to sit in a waiting room with a bunch of other sick people before you can see a doctor? Why not have a doctor come out to you? That's a novel concept. That's exactly what Basis Health is doing. They'll send a physician out to you for your urgent care, your primary care, IV hydration, and more to take care of all of your healthcare and medical needs. Check them out today, www.basishealth.org, or scan that QR code in the top right-hand corner of your screen. All right. Shifting gears here for the rest of the episode today, just a handful of recruiting tidbits. Nothing super, super groundbreaking, whatever, but 3 happenings in the last day or two. Obviously, we talked all day yesterday on the show about the schedule, but just some things that just raise the eyebrow to pay attention to. I would say first and probably most notably is the number 1 overall player in the 2027 class has officially reclassified into 2026. So he's fair game with this current class. It's a name that we've mentioned multiple times here recently. It's 6'9" wing Baba Aladotin. He played up all spring and summer on the 17U level with Team Durant. And he averaged 14 points and 6 boards per game on the EYBL with them. So a young kid playing up and putting up pretty good numbers. John Calipari was courtside for several of his games during the last 2 live evaluation periods throughout the summer, but particularly the last 2 live eval periods. He does hold an Arkansas offer. They like him. Of course they do. So we need to add him now to the big board for the 2026 class, and we'll do that. But, He's good. I mean, he's a do-it-all type of guard, skilled wing, super fluid, switchable defensively. He can really, really create his own offense at a high level, can shoot it, pull up off the bounce, and get to the rim. Has shown that he can initiate as well. He's a good player. And we're also talking about a young man who is 16 years old, and he'll arrive at whatever college campus he chooses at 17 years old. So, he's 6'9", I don't know, 175, 180 right now. He's skinny, but there's no telling what this will look like by opening night of his college career. He's still very much growing. He will definitely be heavier. He'll probably be taller. So for whatever it's worth, he's now listed as, after reclassifying, the number 8 overall prospect in 2026. So he's number 1 in 2027. Reclasses up a year, and he's still top 10. That's pretty impressive. He's a 5-star according to 24/7 Sports. It would not surprise me in the slightest if he is a top 5 guy by the time they wrap up all these rankings, potentially as high as number 2. I don't think he'll pass Tyron Stokes, but I could see him being next in line. I really could. Recruiting wise, what I've been told, and as I understand it, is that it's too early to be naming a front runner or anything like that. This is going to be a guy who does the world tour, probably takes a ton of visits, really explores all of his options. I think things are probably really going to start heating up for him now. And he's been recruited heavily, but when you make it official that, hey, I'm fair game for this class and not a year from now, well, then you become even more of a priority for people, right? So my hope is that Arkansas winds up being one of those visits that he takes. It would not surprise me at all if that wound up being the case. He's taken a couple unofficials so far. I know he visited Muss at USC, UCLA. He's been out there as well. I think Gonzaga is one that he has scheduled. Maryland is a team that's believed to be in the mix. Now, that's where he plays high school ball, so I get it. No disrespect. I have a really hard time believing a player like that's going to go play for Buzz Williams. Sorry, just being honest. Maybe I'm wrong. Speaking of Buzz Williams, Virginia Tech, interestingly enough, is another school to watch there. Baba's dad played for Virginia Tech in the early 90s. So, yeah, all right, that makes quite a bit of sense. The competition, it's going to be thick, though. And, the pecking order is going to start taking shape over the course of the next few weeks here. He's got offers and has had coaches front and center for him from Arkansas, Kentucky, Kansas, Louisville, Michigan, Indiana. I mean, plenty more have offered him. They're salivating at this type of talent becoming available in what's a pretty weak class overall. Like this strengthens and adds to a class that needed some star power at the top. So a big addition there. Elsewhere, Arkansas did extend another 2027 offer. So a rising junior guard in the 2027 class. It's Devin Cleveland out of Chicago, 6'3", a 4-star right now, a top 30 kid. He might be in line for a bump though. Other schools that have been out there and have offered him: Marquette, Michigan, Illinois, among some of those heavy hitters there. Arkansas has been in on him for a while, actually. He took an unofficial visit last year during football season. He was there the same day. It was like Chris Sinak, Abdu Toure. It was a football weekend, I think in October, when those guys were in town. But nice player. He actually played up with Mac Irvin Fire's 17U team during Peach Jam week when all that was going on. He averaged 10 points per game with them playing up. So showed pretty well there. Didn't shoot it particularly well. That's not really his game. With the 16U, he averaged like over 15 points per game. Again, not a shooter. I think he only made like 8 threes or something the entire summer, but he was 56% from the field and 82% at the free throw line. So clearly a guy who can get downhill, can get into his mid-range, everything like that. But when you're 80+% from the free throw line, that's usually a pretty good indicator that there's at least potential to develop that jumper out to the perimeter. So who knows? We'll see what that looks like. But notable. You got a guy who's been being recruited by Arkansas for over a year, and they extend that official offer. There you have it. So add him to Tyrone Jamison, I think, as early targets there in the backcourt, at least for that 2027 class. And speaking of early targets, we'll sort of wrap here on this. Paris London III has transferred to Fayetteville High School. Shout out to the Perp Dogs. Okay, so what? What does that mean? A 6'5" wing, a name that's already getting buzz for 2029. So an incoming freshman, ways to go there. So why are we talking about this? Why is it notable? Well, yes, he's going to Fayetteville High School, so of course, but his dad played for John Calipari at Memphis. You know how this goes. La Familia is real. It's a thing. So this is a name that I'm sure we will hear plenty more about over the next few years. I'm looking forward to getting right down the road and watching him in action at Fayetteville High this season. Should be a good time. Okay. Two quick things that I want to throw out at you guys as we wrap the show to get your feedback on is what I'm looking at here. One, season ticket holders, people that bought in, donated for the reseating at Bud Walton Arena. I would appreciate it if you would hit me up and tell me about your experience. Do you have your seats yet? What does that look like? Did you feel like you got the bang for your buck? Are you happy with where they've seated you? If they have you, I know it's still ongoing, but it's been in the process here. What has that all been like for you? What are your expectations? Have they been met? What's the communication been like? I'm very interested in all that. I'm working on something. So you don't have to put in the YouTube comments or anything. It's personal stuff. I understand that. But maybe shoot me an email, curtis@insidearkansas.com. You guys see the Twitter X handle right there at @KurtWilkerson_. You can throw a DM at me or whatever. I'd just like to hear a little bit more about how that's going. I've done some interviews, talking to some folks over on the U of A side of things. I have had a few people who've kind of reached out or that I've heard in passing about how that whole thing is working out for them. I'm really interested to see how it all plays out. I know they feel like been successful in terms of generating the type of revenue they were hoping for, a lot of participation in there. And hopefully that leads to a full house at Bud Walton Arena more frequently. But I also know there are a lot of people who are worried about getting priced out of their seats or, not getting the type of seat that matches the donation level, all those things. So I want to hear your story. So if you listen to this show and you fall into that category, you know someone else who does, reach out to me. I definitely appreciate that. The other thing that I want to bring up, throw out there, what about a full SEC basketball show during the course of the college basketball season? Would you guys tap into that? It's like a live stream, after the weekend games on a Sunday night or Monday night or whatever, just to talk full on SEC ball, talking getting some national guests who would come in, somebody every week, or folks who cover teams that Arkansas just played or is about to play or whatever, just to have a little bit of a co-star with that. And just kind of focusing on the league as a whole. And the reason I ask is goodness gracious, man, I probably had a dozen folks or so hit me up saying, hey man, you should do this, right? Folks who, listen to, maybe they listen to the Pot the Palace or listen to us on Inside Arkansas Live or whatever, from other fan bases, like before their team plays Arkansas. And it's like, man, we wish we had somebody who did this, for our school or whatever. We wish you covered the whole SEC or whatever. And it's happened so much now that I'm to the point where I'm like, all right, maybe we should really look into this because I love it. I watch all the games. I'm tapped in. I cover it. And I think it could be a lot of fun. If there's a market for it, an audience for it, and people would listen, man, I'll do it. Here's the deal though. Razorback fans, Inside Arkansas Live subscribers, you guys are the priority and the bread and butter. So if I know that you would tap in and you would be interested in that, and obviously we talk plenty of Razorback basketball as well, then I'll plan on doing it. And once we get a little bit closer to the season, we'll start getting the wheels in motion and see what that could look like. But if that's something that you would be interested in, it wouldn't change anything that we do here, with the Pot at the Palace or, our game coverage for the Razorbacks, none of that. It would just kind of be an in addition to once a week live stream type of deal. Looking ahead at the whole conference, interactive Q&A, all that kind of stuff. I think it would be fun. I'm open to doing it, but we're only going to do it if you guys are interested and you'll listen, right? So, all right. That's all I got for you today. Going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, tapping in as always. Some of you who are listening are not subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel yet. Go ahead and do that for us while you're here. Just click the button. It's no big deal. It's free for you and it helps us out. We would certainly appreciate it. You can also find us anywhere that you find your podcast. If you listen in audio form, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever, Pot the Palace can be found there. And we'll catch you guys again in the morning. Everybody have a good day. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. Catch you in the morning.